welcome to Big Flick Energy. So remember, this is part 3 of the 3-episode series of the DC FanDome games, the DC FanDome shows, and this 3rd episode, the DC FanDome films.
I'm also going to be putting timestamps in the description of the video, so if there's anything specific that you want to hear more about, you can see all the content there, and you can just go to that time of the video and you can watch it.
So, I just want to say, hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get on a roll. The first film that we got some news of was Black Adam. So we got behind the scenes look, which gave us our first look at some of the costumes of Cyclone, of Atom Smasher, of Hawkman, and of Dr. Fate. So I'm really excited for this film, and when they showed us the scene, which takes place towards the beginning of the movie, I lost it. That scene where Black Adam grabs the man and he just shocks him to the point where he becomes ash just got me so excited to see this character in action. And honestly, I was not the most hyped for this film before, but the fact that they're doing this, it makes me so excited, and I can't wait to see what they can do with this character. And I really hope that eventually we can see Henry Cavill's Superman go up against this Black Adam. I'm very hopeful. I'm not sure if it'll happen, but I really want it to happen. The next film is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So we got a behind the scenes look, which gave us our first look at a new Black Manta costume, which looks pretty cool. And something else that they mentioned was that this film will be more mature than the first one, but it will still retain the fun from the first one, which gets me excited. I've really liked when DC goes into the more mature films, and I feel like that's when they're at their strongest. Next up, we have Static Shock, which was brought up by the Milestone team. So right now the script is in development, it's not too far in the process, but hopefully next year we can get more info about it. The next film was another Milestone project, which was announced as an animated Milestone feature film, which will include a lot of the characters from Milestone, which includes characters like Static Shock, and then some of the other characters include those like Icon, Zombie, Rocket, Edwin Alva. So I feel like it could be a really cool concept for them to do this, and I'm looking forward to it. So the next film that we got some info for was DC League of Super Pets. So it was a pretty quick scene that they showed us. It was just to introduce Dwayne Johnson as Crypto the Superdog and Kevin Hart as Bathound. And it looks like it's going to be a funny film. And they also said that there will be an official trailer in November, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't just give us the official trailer here, since this is supposed to be a big event. But, I mean, they can do whatever they want, so I'm not going to complain. So, the film, it does look pretty interesting, and I'll check it out depending on the reviews.
So the next film is The Flash, which I am very excited for this film because we really don't know what's next after The Flash. I'm trying to make up a timeline of all the DCEU movies, but I'm kind of stuck after The Flash because I don't know what they're going to do with it. So this is a very big movie that will tell us what the Snyderverse is at this point, if the Snyder Cut is canon, if it's not, if Whedon's cut is canon, if it's not. So it's definitely the most important film for DC to make the DCU continue working. So I'm definitely very excited for it. Although it isn't the most original concept, I feel like it can be done very well, and it is probably the most dangerous project DC has at their hands right now. That will either go incredibly well or will be the biggest flop that they have ever done, and if it fails, that is the film that could cause them to reboot all of the DCEU and to just, redo everything. Now, they gave us a trailer, which was really cool. And in the trailer, it did reveal that it won't just be a multiversal story like what we've been hearing. It will stay true to the Flashpoint storyline, where Flash will go back in time. He'll try to save his mother. So that's a good thing. But something that was really cool was we got to see some reveals of characters, where we not only saw one Flash, we saw two Flashes, both played by Ezra Miller. We also got to see Supergirl, and we got to see back of Michael Keaton's cowl as Batman, which when I saw that, I got very excited. And I knew he was going to be in the film, but it's still really exciting, and I'm just looking forward to this film so much. I also feel like there could be more to this other Flash, where he is actually the main antagonist of the film. You see, the costume that he's wearing is a Batman costume with the Flash logo on top of it, which reminds me of a character known as Red Death, which is basically Batman from another universe who has the Speed Force and becomes an antagonist. So in the Flash TV show, we actually got a mention of him in one of the episodes, where we were told that in the future he is one of the people that Grant Gustin's The Flash fights against, but we haven't seen him yet. And I feel like for such story like Flashpoint that we've seen so many times, the director may have wanted to go a different path with the antagonist to make it more of an antagonist that we've never seen before, which Red Death would be. And it would make sense considering Batman is such a prominent character in this film, along with Flash being a prominent character in this film. So it would make sense to mix them into one and have Red Death be the main antagonist. And considering there are rumors Grant Gustin will be in this film, it isn't improbable that the Red Death that we heard about in the Flash TV show is actually the same one from this film. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that, and this Flash movie I'm way too excited for. So the next film is Injustice, which gave us a mixed media trailer, which kind of showed some scenes from the film, along with some scenes from the Injustice video games, along with some scenes from the Injustice comics, which I thought was a pretty cool trailer to give us. And gave us a scene from the Injustice film, which shows what makes Superman pass his breaking point. So honestly, I'm pretty excited for this film, but something that I'm not the most happy about is that apparently it's a somewhat different story. They changed some of the things that happen, which is fine. I mean, they want to make it original, but I feel like it could lose some of what made the Injustice story so great. And I actually do know somebody that has had the chance to watch this film, and they told me that there really isn't much character development outside of those main characters like Superman. So that's kind of frustrating, considering Injustice, every character is supposed to have that character development. And obviously you can't do that in a short feature-length film, which is about an hour and a half. I'm not sure the exact time, but it's obviously going to be very difficult, but it is kind of disappointing to see. I'm still going to try to watch this film though, so I'm looking forward to it. The next film is Blue Beetle. So honestly, Blue Beetle has been my favorite comic book character for such a long time, ever since I saw him in some of the Batman TV shows, and then I got to see him in Young Justice, and then I got to play with him in Injustice 2. I've just loved this character for so long, and to finally see him be getting his own film, I'm so excited for it. And some of the things that they gave us were a conversation for the director, the writer, and the main actor for Blue Beetle. And we also got some of the costume concept art, which this costume looks incredible. And if this is the one that they use for the actual film, I am going to be in awe when I watched that. So some of the things that they mentioned were things that made me pretty happy that they're going to do with this character. So they mentioned how he's going to be slightly different from Spider-Man in his familial ties, where Spider-Man tried to hide things from his family so that they wouldn't know he was Spider-Man. But coming from a Hispanic family, they mentioned that Hispanic family, it's impossible to hide something from them, which is so true. And you can tell that they're really putting a lot of their own personal experiences into this film. And I feel like it's going to be pretty funny for me personally to see those situations. And they mentioned that this film is going to be fun, it's going to be funny, it's going to be crazy, but it's also going to have a lot of feelings. So I'm definitely very excited for this film. And it will be an original story, so I'm not sure if we'll see some of the other characters like Black Beetle or Green Beetle. But who knows, maybe it'll include those characters, but to a lesser extent, or it'll be a different take on those characters. I am excited for this film though.
The next film is Catwoman Hunted, which is a feature-length animated film, which kind of gives me anime vibes when I watched the trailer. And the trailer was pretty good. It looks like it's going to be a pretty funny film, and it's going to be a fun film. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And something that was mentioned right after this film was that it's one of 5 animated films that will be coming out in 2022 from DC. And then they went on to just quickly name off the other 4 without really giving us any details outside of the dates in terms of the seasons that they're going to be. So the first one is Teen Titans Go and DC Superhero Girls Mayhem in the Multiverse, which will take place in spring, and obviously it'll be a multiverse story, and it'll focus on these 2 teenage superhero teams that are based on kids' TV shows. Next is Green Lantern Beware My Power, which will be during the summer, which feels like it will be a pretty cool film, so I'm looking forward to this one. Next up, we have Battle of the Super Sons, which is going to be the first CG animated film by DC, and it will come in fall, and obviously it is going to have some of the children of some of the superheroes. And lastly, we have Batman The Long Halloween, the Deluxe edition, which is going to basically be better quality, and it's going to have some added scenes to it. So next up, we have Batgirl, which is going to star Leslie Grace, and pretty much the only thing that we got from this was a conversation for the director, the writer, and the main actress, Leslie Grace. So something else that we got to see was some concept art, which was just Batgirl standing on the edge of a skyscraper. It wasn't really like the Blue Beetle one where we got a costume look, but they did mention some of the things that will be on the costume, where Batgirl in this universe will have red hair and her Batgirl will have a cowl. So it won't be like the little mask that some of the iterations of her have had. So something else is that they mentioned that they want to have very realistic fights to make it feel like a very raw and relatable story. So I really like that. I feel like it'll make this Batgirl just more welcoming to watch. And I'm still very confused on which universe she is going to be in. I'm not sure if it'll be in the DCEU, since there are rumors that they want to get who else but J. Jonah Jameson, otherwise known as Commissioner Gordon, otherwise known as Omni-Man. They want to get him as the actor for James Gordon in this universe, which would mean it is DCEU. Or they could go the path of going into the Batman Matt Reeves universe. So honestly, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Right now the film is in pre-production, so it will be a while until we get more info for this. Next up, we have Shazam Fury of the Gods, where we got a behind the scenes look So we got to see some of the villains like Calypso, and I think this film could be a really good film. I think it could flop also. It really depends on how they tell the story. Something that I really like though is that it is apparently going to have a much higher budget than the first part. A lot of the costume designs, they look a lot cleaner, they look a lot more realistic. I feel like the power sets are going to look more realistic. They're not going to hold back with some of the monsters like they did with the Seven Deadly Sins, which to me looked like pretty bad quality CGI. So I feel like this film, in terms of the quality of the image, is going to be a lot better. But in terms of the story, I'm not so sure how strong it will be. But I am still looking forward to it, so let's see how it turns out. Next up, we have Wonder Woman 3, which was a very quick moment during the 80-year anniversary of Wonder Woman panel, where we got to see Linda Carter and Patty Jenkins discuss how there will be a Wonder Woman 3. They didn't really speak anything of it, but yeah, pretty much all we know is that there will be a Wonder Woman 3, and I personally would love to see it go into the end of what happened at the Snyder Cut, where Diana is holding up the arrow, and you can tell that she wants to return to Themyscira to find out if her mom is actually dead, since the last thing that she heard about her mom was Steppenwolf saying that her mom is dead. So I feel like her going back home is definitely the next step, and I feel like it would be a really cool third film. Last, and certainly not least, we have the Batman. So for this film, it was definitely the one that broke the internet at DC FanDome last year, where out of nowhere we got a 2-minute trailer, even though they had barely filmed any of the film. And the trailer was incredible. So this year, they had to up the ante. So they gave us behind the scenes look, a conversation with two of the cast members, Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson, along with Matt Reeves. And then we got the trailer that we've been waiting for so long. And in this trailer, honestly, the first time I saw it, I was kind of underwhelmed. But I have watched it 6 times since then, and I'm in love with the trailer. Just the beauty of the shots, the sunset, it's just such a beautiful film. I feel like it's going to be the most beautifully shot film that they've ever done for a Batman movie, and who knows, maybe even for any DC movie ever. I feel like it's one of the most perfectly casted superhero movies ever. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is just incredible. And I feel like the story where you don't know when Paul Dano is going to go to prison, you don't know if it's going to be like The Dark Knight, where halfway through the film, Joker was in prison, and then the rest of the film took place where he kind of eventually escaped. So you don't know if it's going to be like that. You don't know if the film is going to start with him in prison, where we have to find all the clues to all the riddles throughout the film. So there's a lot of mystery surrounding this film, but just some of the beautiful shots that they've given us, some of the fight scenes, like the one where there was no lighting until there were gunshots, and that's the only lighting you have for that fight scene. I feel like that's such an intelligent idea for a fight scene like that. And then also that final shot where we see Penguin's perspective of the Batman walking towards him with his cape flying in the wind and fire burning behind him. And that is just such an incredible scene that when I saw it, I don't know how to describe it. It was just a great feeling. And something else is, honestly, I'm really excited for the Penguin. So I definitely feel like Colin Farrell is trying to do a Robert De Niro impression. And when I saw this, I started to think, Colin Farrell doesn't look anything like the Penguin that they ended up making him look like. Why couldn't they have just have gotten Robert De Niro and increased his weight for the film? But then I started thinking, okay, there's already been a DC film with Robert De Niro in it. Maybe they just want to hold him out for one DC film. Or perhaps this is part of the same universe. And I know it's a reach, but I feel like for a Batman universe where there have been rumors that there will be a Joker in this film or in this series, and to introduce another Joker, it's just going to be overly repetitive. We already have a Joker that doesn't have his own Batman, who has a very dark world similar to this world, where we already know from some of the first screenings that the ending of this Batman film is very shocking and will make a lot of fans go crazy. Honestly, I don't think it's impossible for this Joker to be in Robert Pattinson's universe. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, who knows? Maybe he's in this universe, and that's why they didn't want to reuse Robert De Niro, because they didn't want to reuse the same actor for two characters in the same universe. So to add to this point of the Joker being in Batman, we saw a scene of the Riddler in prison, but actually it wasn't a prison. It was Arkham State Hospital. You can see it on his jumpsuit. And the last time we saw this was in the Joker, where this is where Arthur, our Joker, tried to find the files of his mother. So I find it pretty interesting, and eventually he did end up being in Arkham State Hospital in the film. So I think that this adds value to this theory, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them do this if it happens. But honestly, you never know. So we'll just have to wait and see. And even if he's not there, I am very excited for this. This film is going to be incredible. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be another trilogy like what he did with Planet of the Apes, Matt Reeves. So I trust this director so much, and I love what we got. I wish we got some reveals of some new things we hadn't heard of before, but I'm just really excited, and I hope you are too. So thank you for watching this 3-episode series, which I wish I could have made into one video, but it would have been way too long. So I just want to say thank you. I hope you enjoyed DC FanDome. I hope you enjoyed these videos, and see you next time on Big Flick Energy.